So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about related twos and secondary dominants today. This is a little piece that I showed you before that has a lot of secondary dominants in it. And we're going to add some related twos, but first let's remember what it sounds like. I'm going to improvise a little to make it sound a little bit more like real music. So. Okay, so that has 5, 7, 2 going to 2, 5, 7, 6 going to 6, 5, 7, 4 going to 4, and it has a 5, 7 sus4 in it, so kind of an interesting progression. Okay, and so we're going to add some related twos to this progression, and usually what happens is wherever you put a secondary, if you want to use a related two with your secondary dominant, usually where the secondary dominant would normally go, we're going to push that to the right a little bit, and we're going to insert our related two in between. That's because secondary dominants usually go on a weak harmonic stress. And so we want the related two on a stronger harmonic stress, so right at the very beginning, and then the related two is going to go to a weaker, it's going to shift to a weaker harmonic stress a little bit later. So what I'm going to do is move these a little bit to the right, and so I'm going to just move them to the right a little bit here. So it's going to be like that, and okay, here's another secondary dominant, so let's move that to the right as well. And so move that to the right. And over here, we're going to move this one to the right as well. Okay, so these secondary dominants usually are on weaker harmonic stresses than the related twos that come before them. So that's why I'm doing it here. Now notice some of this moved, but I'm going to have to move the rest of the analysis as well. So I'm going to put that over here, put this over here, I'm going to put this over here. So our secondary dominant, make sure our Roman numerals are still lining up with the correct spot here. I'm going to have to switch my arrows around and everything. In fact, you know what, let me put the arrows, move the arrows as well. Okay, so this is going to be, that's pretty good. All right, good. So, as you know, a related two of a target chord is going to be just like the two of that chord. So let's, even though we're in the key of C, let's imagine we're in D minor for a second. So what is our related two? Our related two is going to be an E chord. So let's stick an E in here, okay? And so we're going to voice an E minor 7 up here. And so now what we've got is a related to a secondary dominant and a target chord. So it's going to sound. So it's even a little bit more intricate than our secondary dominant at this point. All right. So what is our chord symbol? Well, that's going to be E minor 7 is going to be the related to. All right. What is it going to be? It is a tonic, but it's also a related to. So it is what we call a dual function chord. Oh, wrong. Tonic and a related to. I wonder if that'll work. Is that gonna work? Oh boy. So, all right, tonic. No. Tonic related to. Whoops. Oh boy. All right. I'm going to put it as text for now. Tonic related to. Okay, so it's what we call a dual function. So I'll also put dual DF for dual function. All right, and with a related two and a secondary dominant, we are going to still have a Roman numeral here because this one is diatonic to the overall key. So we're going to still put a Roman numeral in here, and E is, of course, 3 minor 7 in the key of, here we go. But because this is a related two, we're also going to put another piece of analysis in here. We're going to put a bracket. All right, now that bracket is quite big, so I'm going to shrink it. I think we're going to generally use smaller brackets in this exercise here. So here is my related to. So I'm going to put a bracket between the related to and the secondary dominant. Now, this also, some people do it like this, and I understand, and maybe I will do it in this case because see how close these are together, so it'd be nice to make it a little bit neater if we do it this way. But you can put your bracket up here as well. Okay, so there's our related to, our secondary dominant, and our target chord. What's our target chord over here? It's A minor. So here is our secondary dominant. Of course, we have our arrow. What is our related to going to be? Well, it's going to be a B chord because B is 2 in the key of A, right? And also B is a perfect fifth above E or a perfect fourth below. So that is going to be a related. That's how we're gonna tell our related twos. All right. So here's our B. Now, question is, what kind of B chord do we use? Well, if it's related to, usually it's a minor 7, or in some instances it's a minor 7 flat 5. Here we are going to a minor key. This is the relative minor of C. So the 2 chord would be a 2 minor 7 flat 5 in a minor key, right? So often we'll use a minor 7 flat 5 if we're going to a minor target. In this case, if we use a B minor 7 flat 5, right? B minor 7 flat 5. Well, what about that chord? B minor 7 flat 5. That is diatonic to the key of C major. So this one seems like a great idea to use B minor 7 flat 5 in this case. And then what is the Roman numeral going to be? Well, it's going to be a 7 minor 7 flat 5. But it's also going to be, of course, as we just discussed, a related to. So let's give it the bracket here, and well, that will show that it's related to going to a secondary dominant, going to a target chord. So what's the function of this one? Well, this one is a little odd because 7 minor 7 flat 5 really is only used as a related to. So we're going to put related to down here for the function. All right, and then put a nice little voicing in here. I'll start with the F on top, so something like this. I guess I can leave out the B, so I'll just do that. So now we have a 7 minor 7 flat 5. Okay, and over here we are going to put in a related to. What's the related to of F? The secondary dominant is C7. What's the related to? The related to is going to be G minor 7, and usually that would be a minor 7. It could be a minor 7 flat 5, but usually that would be a minor 7. What's the analysis for that guy? That's going to be just a related to. Notice that this one is not diatonic to the key, okay? So G minor 7 is not diatonic to C major. So we don't give it a Roman numeral, we just put in this little bracket to show that it's a related to. And so I'm going to put a G in here, and I'm going to put a voicing of G up here. Okay, but actually what I'm going to do that voicing. And I'll show you why in a second. All right, so we're getting pretty close to having, and this of course is going to be related to. It's not a diatonic chord, so it will just be a related to. So that's the only, whoops. Am I typing? Yes. Related to is the function here. It's just a related to. Okay? Now, I just want to, so before I play it, I just want to say that this chord here that I really liked before doesn't really make sense because we're going from a G inversion to a G minor in root position. So, and A going to B, used to go to C, that made sense, but now we're kind of leaping down to G. So it doesn't make very much sense. So I'm going to put in a little passing chord, and this is just for fun. So I'm going to put in this chord here, And I'm going to put a little passing chord down there. So this will be, we won't even talk about the analysis of this or anything. We'll just say that it is a passing chord, and at some point you will encounter something like this. You see how I have A minor 7 going to A flat minor 7 going to G minor 7. So this is going to be a nice kind of passing chord here. Alright, so that's a little bit about secondary dominance and target chords. This one I'll just play without any sort of improvisation, just to show you this. Okay, so 2. Okay, so the use of related to secondary dominant to target chord pair. 3 chord groupings here. I've used them in several spots, and they're really effective to add some interest to your harmony. So I encourage you to do so.